public defender Philip Dube. Philip, first let's start with demeanor. So we know this witness didn't want to testify. She was subpoenaed. So here she is in court testifying, and she's described by Julia as tearful. And then, for the first time, R. Kelly has been described as fairly stoic and not having much emotion as witnesses are testifying. But in this case, he is described as being unusually animated during the testimony, making shocked and incredulous motions. How do you think that might affect a jury who's watching him?
Well, I think some jurors, it depends. The short answer is, some jurors might be a little sympathetic and take it as unsworn testimony from him from counsel table that she's lying, that he didn't do it, that he's innocent. And of course, you know, he's not subject to cross-examination for all that assertive conduct from the chair. Others might see it as consciousness of guilt. You know, acting out in front of the jury, sort of play acting, making it look like, you know, he's falsely accused and, you know, as opposed to taking the stand and affirmatively denying it. So there's no way to know. Remember, Ashley, we get so little time in voir dire during jury selection trying to figure out what makes all these prospective jurors tick. And there is no way to know what is or could be going through their minds when they're perceiving, you know, evidence from the stand or just activity in the courtroom, such as at counsel table. There's no way to know.
Yeah, and you make a really excellent point. And you never know what a jury's going to do, Philip, but let me ask you this. Let me pick your brain as a defense attorney, because you are as a public defender where you are in California. And this question is, all right, so that was one response by the defendant. The next one that I want to mention is Kelly was apparently looking down during some of the testimony and talking to his lawyers. And the part of the testimony was this same witness being asked, and how did you take R. Kelly's statement? And her response was, I took it as a threat. So when you're an attorney trying a case, and I know you can put a lot of time into preparing, making sure that you have your case organized and you know the evidence. What does it mean to you when your client starts talking to you during testimony? What does that usually mean if there is a typical?
Well, first of all, it's very distracting when your client is yanking on your shirt, tapping on your shoulder, wanting to talk to you, because the lawyer needs to listen to the testimony and take notes. That's why I always give my clients paper and a pencil to write down any questions or comments so I can glance at them as the testimony is going on. But the real question here is, when the witness said that she took it as a threat, you know, what does that mean? Does that mean a threat of physical harm? Does that mean a threat to her loved ones, to a third party? Or does it mean financial threat, meaning you're finished, you're not getting a job? You know, the darling that you thought you were going to be in the music industry is over. That is not really a criminal threat. That is just sort of a financial risk you take when you go against the boss. So I don't necessarily think that that proves a violation of the RICO statute. If anything, all it shows is that it's a byproduct of the lifestyle and of the industry to the rich and famous.
Oh, Philip, you make such a great point, and I hear you saying it, and I hear you say it as a public defender, because you're right. The definition of threat, it could mean all kinds of different things, and that's what good attorneys have to delve into, and I suspect during cross-examination, it may be some of those questions that they search the answers for. All right, Philip Dube is staying with us, and coming up next on Court TV Live, the latest in the search for the